flotilla in the sky and all this stuff, had never done any of this. They were all novices. And they had gotten the meditation and stuff. And what this said to me was that the visitors are saying, even with people who are starting out making contact and are just learning how to use non-local, unbounded mind to remote view and vector, we're going to be there. And no force on earth will stop it. And the country that is wanting us, for a couple of years, we've been going back and forth with the Ministry of Defense and all this stuff. That country, they want to go, but they're really afraid of stepping out ahead of the United States. And so this high-level delegation came, and I introduced them some friends of President Obama and some diplomats and ambassadors in D.C. and some spooks, and then I took them out to my farm near Monticello, near Thomas Jefferson's home, and we spent several days out there retreating together, and it changed their lives. Because one of the things they learned was not only that, yes, we can make contact, and it's transdimensional, and it's in every, and fully materialized. However, the President of the United States, you can't wait for him, because he may never be allowed to have this information except what I'm providing to him. And they said, well, if he calls in these people, won't they have to tell him? I said, no. And they said, well, it doesn't work like that in our country. I said, yes, but you've got 1/100th of the defense budget we've got. We've got a $1 trillion military, industrial, corporate, laboratory complex in this country, which if you added up every other country in the world, wouldn't add up to it. And I said, you don't understand. The president it's like the emperor has no clothes. And they were just holding their heads in their hands, going, oh my God. I said, you've got to get your head of state to pull our head of state aside and say, now we understand the situation. Will you do this with us? Synchronize. And that's what we're negotiating in the last month or so. And that's why we need you need a right to the president. You know, I say these things and I often don't give enough explanation. You have got to let him know you want this done. You've got to let your senator know and your congressman know. And you've got to speak to your friends and your family and say, this has got to be dealt with. The future of life on earth is dependent on those of us in this room who understand the implications of this, doing the right thing. And this is something which is not easy to do because people will laugh at you. I mean, I've been called everything. But you know what? We're not in kindergarten. Sticks and stones. Just do it. You know, if people, want to laugh, just say, hey, you want to laugh? Here's a DVD with 70 top secret military intelligence and corporate people, name, rank, serial number with their top secret documents. You want to see it? We put all that together so that people can say, yeah, this stuff is absolutely real, and we can prove it. But we also need to have people say, we expect our leaders, particularly ones who say they won't change. You won't change? I'll show you some change. We're going to have some real change happen. And the real change is the establishment of a new civilization on this planet based on universal peace, cosmic awareness, interstellar relations, free energy, the end of poverty, the end of oil, the end of the frickin' petrodollar, and that's going to happen soon. We're not talking 50 or 100 years from now. This is coming fast, and there are almost every country in the world wants to see this done because I have liaisons everywhere, and people in foreign ministries everywhere. They've been waiting on the United States when I'm telling you can't, because that's what everyone hoped Bill Clinton would do. And we gave all this stuff. You know what? I didn't have all this stuff when I briefed the Clinton folks, but Lawrence Rockefeller hosted the Clintons up here in the Tetons at his JY ranch for us, and Hillary Clinton walked up in the middle of the briefing going through the 600 pages of stuff we put together and said, stop, we don't want to hear anything more about this, it's too dangerous. And then one of the Clinton's good friends came to my home, and I'm just a country doctor from North Carolina. And I'm sitting there, and here this bagman for the Democratic National Committee protracted periods. And he came to my home after I had done all these briefings and had these meetings with the CI director, and he said, and I'm at the dining room table in my home with my 4 little daughters, and he says, well, and I know him really well, he says, well, I think, you know, you'll have to do this yourself. I think it's a great idea. It needs to happen. It's long overdue. But it's really too dangerous for the president to do, and they're convinced that he'll end up like Jack Kennedy. And I burst out laughing. I did. I thought he was joking. He was this big, fat, jolly kind of guy. And he stopped me. He says, no, they're serious. I said, oh, what am I, chopped liver? He basically said, yeah, you are. You're expendable. So, since I'm expendable, we're little people, a little guy who's nobody. Us little people are expendable. And in the sense that we have to be bodhisattvas. We have to give our lives for the truth and sacrifice our fortunes, which I've done, and our work and our efforts to see a new civilization on this planet. We have to do it. And then, when we manifest that amount of courage and a groundswell from the public, perhaps our leaders will follow in suit. And if they don't, doesn't matter, because guess what? They're coming. They're coming. Joshua Tree in November 6 months ago, we had several hours of a spacecraft in Orion that came in, we have it on film, and there were over 2 hours of electromagnetic signals that we recorded. Unbelievable. And we call it the Orion transmissions. And they're going to be in this next book that's going to be come out at the end of August. And we're also going to have a DVD with these images and all these tones on it. It'll blow your mind. And we had 40 people there under the stars in Joshua Tree, and here this stuff is going on and what they were saying. And everyone got this message, although it's not in English. But they were saying, we're coming. And no force on earth is going to stop it. This is going to get unveiled. But it'd be better if we teach each other the truth. That they come to help and to understand. And they come to usher in an era where we become an interstellar civilization, living in universal peace. And the time for this great enlightenment on Earth, this quantum leap in our civilization, it's here, and it's been here for about 100 years trying to manifest. But now we're really in the final sequence, and that's why we're calling this Countdown to Transformation. Because it isn't a matter of decades. It isn't a matter of centuries. It's a matter of months to a few years. No one can predict, because the timeline has a certain amount of plasticity, variability to it, depending on what we collectively do. But that's where we are headed as a civilization. And whether it be free energy, anti-gravity systems, contact, disclosure, this is really in all of our hands, not in the hands so much of the people in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue or in the Élysée Palace or the Kremlin or what have you. Believe it or not, and I've been told this, they're looking to you and to me, to us. And what's been very humbling about this, when I first got this letter, it is the most important document in the history of the UFO subject. And I regret, ironically, great irony here, I can't release it without burning all my bridges to this G7 country. It'll come out in due time. But in it, they talk about joining with CSETI to enter this long-term journey together to the stars to make contact. This, signed by the senior official of the multiple officials of the G7 Ministry of Defense recently. Wow. That's awesome. So, how then do we proceed? I'm in this position between worlds. I really can't say I'm going to just stand down because Obama or Sarkozy or Medvedev or whoever is going to take care of this. Because I know as soon as we stand down, they won't move forward. See what I mean? So it's a dynamic. It's very, I don't know if I'm being a little obtuse and abstract here, but it's so important that people empower themselves to do this. And we use